Sebi, congratulations on the massive victory. How did you get it done today?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of tense moments for sure. But, I think today was the ultimate thing was belief, going back to, just believing, committing into every shot. And, luckily I got it done at the end.
Hey, Sebi, Adam Ross, Florida Tennis. We just had Carlos, and he talked about serving out a match as being the toughest thing. You had two opportunities the first time. Can you talk about the difference in both and how you got it done? Thank you.
Well, yeah, it's definitely the toughest thing to do in tennis. It's probably double the task when you're playing against Carlos. You can feel his presence when, there's an important moment. He plays his best tennis in important moments. And, I was kind of chuckling at myself at the changeover when I lost that 5-3 game in the third. I was like, oh, here we go again. So, I learned from it. I knew I went out wide on the first serve in the second set. Wasn't going to go there again. So, learned from it. Happy with it.
To piggyback on that, Ryan Harrison was fired up. I spoke to you and Ryan at the DBO about the process. How is that? I mean, obviously that's going pretty well for you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a lot of fun. We work really hard. But, I think one of the best things about Ryan is, we do the work, we talk it over, we discuss, and, then we try to be normal. We don't try to overdo it with the tennis. Don't try to have too many emotions. And, I think that's really been helping me is, even after tough matches, talk it out, move on, and then learn from our mistakes and, ultimately have fun again.
Hey, Seb, I know you've beaten Carlos before. He wasn't #1. This is your first time ever against world #1. You're 1-0. Yeah. Think about what's your thought process going into a #1. Is it like, I have no pressure, it's all on him, or there is the challenge and the nerves going against a great player like that?
No, I mean, honestly, before the match, I didn't even know I'd never played a world #1. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is just a ranking. There's so many amazing players that could be world #1 right now. But yeah, I mean, from the beginning, I mean, the whole day, all I wanted was, just take care of my side of the court. Wasn't gonna have a bad attitude. Wasn't not gonna be committed, and believing. I think that's one thing when you're playing against these higher ranked players is you kind of lose that belief a little bit. But from the whole match, that's all I wanted in myself.
Sebi, congratulations. After Carlos breaks you in the second set, you lost again 14 of the last 15 points. You were serving love 1, love 30. What do you change in that moment, or what do you think? Because the momentum was from Carlos, and after that love 30, you start to play well again.
Well, the good thing is I wasn't thinking about that, honestly. Yeah, that would probably put me in a little bit more trouble. I think that's one of the best things about tennis. Everything can turn so fast. Just like Carlos. From 3-5 down, 30-all or whatever it was, or 15-30 to 7-5. It just goes in an instant. And I think that's one of the keys in tennis is to slow it down. Go back to what's been working. Luckily, Ryan at that point he got up and he was talking to me what to do a little bit better, and that was a massive key today. And then relying on my serve. I think without my serve today, I don't think I would be standing here right now.
Hey Seb, congratulations on the win. After you lost early at the Australian Open, you made the decision to go and play in San Diego in the final, and you made the final, and obviously that pays off right now. But you lost the final to Svida on the same day that Alcaraz won the career slam. So I'm just kind of wondering, what does that say to you about the depth of men's tennis, and also how you were able to get the win today?
I mean, it's tricky for sure. Obviously. I needed certain things that's the reason why I went to go play San Diego was, just to try to put myself in those stressful situations. I've been injured for so long and missed so many months and, got down a really dark hole. And, those were important weeks for me just to kind of figure myself out. And, obviously I wasn't playing the tennis that I'm playing today, but, especially mentally, I didn't feel great. And, it gave me a little bit of boost of confidence was to just throw myself back in those stressful situations, put myself in a match and, live in those, just kind of just nasty moments during a match, just those stressful environments. And, definitely helped me. I don't think if I didn't play San Diego, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now.
Congratulations. You mentioned in the court after you won that you did some soul searching. What does that mean for you? Take us through that mindset.
Yeah, actually in Dallas, I was actually super fortunate. John McEnroe was playing a EXO there. You know, and I was pretty fortunate that he took a couple minutes out of his day to, you know, just talk with me. You know, and that was one of the things that, you know, we really talked about is, you know, trying to find my identity on the court. Just talked about how we are as, or how I am as a human being, the things that I'm going with. And, yeah, he was great. You know, just taking the time out of him, you know, especially a player like him, incredible commentator as well. And you just kind of see how he sees my game, what he thinks I could use, you know, to try and play better tennis. And one of the things he said was, you know, you gotta go soul searching. You gotta figure out who you are. You gotta figure out why you play tennis, why you love tennis. And yeah, I think that's been a massive key for me. And you know, grateful that he took the time out of his day to do that.
Hi, congrats on the match. Today, a lot of the people were rooting for Carlos. How did you handle that on court? Did you silence them, or like did that fired you up? How was it?
No, I love playing in like a hostile environment. You know, luckily, I've played some of my best tennis in you know, when crowds against you. But you know, they were great both sides. They weren't you know, doing anything towards me. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, especially when the crowd gets going. It doesn't matter whether it's for me or against me. You know, I really enjoy playing in those environments. And you know, hopefully I can keep climbing the rankings. You know, and hopefully people can come and support me and you know, try to yeah, just try to enjoy the moment a little bit more. I got you, man. What's up? Yeah.
You talk about sort of that dark hole you were in, and obviously you've been someone sort of a lot was expected in your career for a long time. You know, I'm sure you expected things for yourself as well. Like, how do you sort of pull yourself out of that when things haven't been going the way you probably hoped for years at this point? And what was sort of the key to sort of thinking there was a light at the end of this tunnel that maybe you've just reached in bright sunshine today?
Well, yeah, throwing yourself back into the fire. I think that's the only way to get through difficult moments is, you know, keep pushing through, keep, you know, don't get off the train, don't want the easy way out. I think, you know, a lot of the times when I've been playing certain matches, you know, that's kind of been the way for me is to start spraying balls a little bit, you know, and then kind of just from that moment, you know, I think I did a great job of accepting not perfect tennis. You know, I think I'm a perfectionist. I hate it. But, you know, as a tennis player, it's super difficult when you always want to be perfect. You know, and there's some moments in a match where you're playing terrible, but, you know, you got to grip your teeth into it and you got to battle. And, you know, I think that's something that I've kind of learned about myself, you know, to keep going in those moments, not lose that belief. And, you know, I think that's been a big key for me recently is to you know, win these tight matches and, you know, continue on the path that I'm going in. You know, obviously there's going to be moments that are bad, there's going to be moments that are good, but, you know, continue with the work, continue not doubting myself as much and not going back into any hole for sure. Yeah, the American boys. The American boys, yeah. Yeah.